ready, get ready, get ready. It's Happy New Year. Welcome back. We've been on a little mini siesta break and looking forward to hearing from all of our amazing guests. Welcome back to my co-host, Dr. Sinead Davis. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Cheryl. I had an amazing holiday. How about you?
A little more quiet than normal, but amazing nonetheless, because we remember the reason for the season.
Absolutely.
And so listen to our radio listening audience. You know, Dr. Davis and I and our banter going back and forth, we always tell you our show is global. It's because we have global listeners. But today, kicking off the new year, new people, new stars, new information. We were not able to do the December show for World AIDS HIV Day. However, we kind of carried that over until the new year, January. Our guest with us today is Janet Kitchen. She is no stranger to Let's Talk Business with SJC and Dr. Sinead Davis. So listen, this is what I'm going to do because we have some amazing stories that we want to get to, some information that's going to certainly educate us and bring us into the 21st century of what we should be discussing when it comes to HIV/AIDS. But the best advocate that we could bring on the show to talk about it is none other than Mrs. Janet Kitchen. Welcome back to the show. Happy New Year, Janet.
Happy New Year, everyone. Hello, family. Happy 2023. Hard to believe that we're 23 years into a millennium. But we're ready at Positive You to get going and doing the work with community. So welcome, everyone. I want to welcome a good friend of mine as we go on, my friend Levy from the continent of Africa, from Kenya, for joining us. One of our great advocates that helps Positively You. Hey, Levy.
Okay, you guys can unmute because she's asking you.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Levy, you can speak. Can you?
Hey, Mama. How are you doing?
This is my son across the waters.
Awesome. Well, listen, and we're looking forward to hearing more from you, Levy, and at this moment to our radio listening audience. Again, she is no stranger to the show. She does have an amazing look for 2023, and she can tell us about it. But I love the look. I love the hair. I love the cut. You are working it. Janet Kitchen, founder of Positively You, Inc. Its mission is to provide culturally appropriate and compassionate programming to HIV positive and high risk individuals and get this, so many counties, Polk, Hernando, Highlands counties, Hillsborough, the whole Tampa Bay area, with an emphasis on tailoring activities to meet the specific needs of the individuals. And we're just going to stop it right there because there's so much in the show today. I'm going to turn the show over to my co-host, Dr. Sinead Davis, and then she will further enlighten us with all of our guests. Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Indeed. Thank you. And welcome to Positively You, the whole Positively You family, from admin to stars, and especially the amazing executive director and Janet Kitchen. Thank you so much. Having already heard a bit of her introduction, we're going to allow Janet to tell the story of herself and also tell us about every star that's here, and then we'll hear from their stories. But let me first say that, this is a new year. We all talk about starting with weight loss and exercise and very, high level goals, but we also want to focus on ourselves and our plans to stay healthy. And that also means addressing and looking at our risk, not just as, the high risk people that, that we typically believe are at risk for HIV. We actually all are at risk. And that's what this show is about today. We're going to talk about living with HIV, preventing HIV, the real prevalence of HIV, health disparities, which include HIV in minority communities, and how we can keep from being infected or, having HIV transmissions in our community. And further, if we just so happen to be affected with HIV, how can we prevent that process from going further? What that means is that we're going to be talking about PEP and PrEP and some of these commercials that you see on TV and you may have questions about. We're going to get those questions answered here today. How you doing, Janet? And who do we have with us today?
Hello, family again out there, and thank you everyone for joining. A lot of the Positive You family is here. I'll quickly introduce, we have Alexander George, which is one of our newer staff member that is going to be accompanying me on speaking on PrEP. He is a peer linkage person that is now in our Winter Haven office. And I'll go again to my left here will be Christine Santos. She is one of our outreach prevention. She wears many hats. She's in our Tampa office. And we have Martine Nelson that is there from Positively You, who is the operation manager of our Winter Haven office. We have next the one that says Tony, which is Antonio. He's our program manager. He covers all of our grants and a little bit more than that. He covers grants in the Tampa Bay area as well as in Miami area, and also does work just there in the community, getting our name out. The person there, Andrew Kitchen, there is not my husband, is my son. I don't know if Andrew was online. I know he just came off a meeting. He is the vice president of operations that is there. And then I have my son that's from across the waters from Kenya that it's probably early in the morning there. I forgot to ask Alexa what time is it is there. So I want to welcome him, and hopefully he can give us a little insight. I have Denitra Roberts that's on the board, attorney and a board member that joined us. Linwood Robinson, which is a board member that has joined us, and Monica Williams, which is a supportive board member that have joined us. So I really, truly have family here today.
Amen. Amen. Yes, you do.
This is a powerhouse of stars.
It is. So we have everyone from being here local to as far as advocacy work, and believe me, we really hit the ground working with HIV.
Oh, Dr. Davis, this is phenomenal. It makes me want to just step out of the room and go on my Facebook Live and just encourage everyone to tune in. The beautiful thing about our show is we will be able to push this information out as soon as the show is over with. But this is an amazing way to kick the new year off. Thank you all. Dr. Davis?
Absolutely. So make sure if you go off camera that you're keeping a listen in. So we have so many stars and so many members and so many roles of the Positively You team. I'd love to hear about your role at Positively You and how you come to be a part of the family. Let's start with Alexander. You're on mute.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
How you doing? I'm Alexander George. I'm linkage and peer navigator now, new to Positively You. And you said, what was the question again? To explain what?
Tell us how you come to be a part of the Positively You family. And also, you said you are a linkage peer. So tell us what that means as well.
Okay, well, basically, I'm new to the company. I'm here in the Winter Haven office. And I'm a peer navigator. What a peer navigator basically is that someone who is living with, who can help other people when they get their diagnosis and be able to help them navigate their way through the system and know where do they need to go and what things they need to do, and how to read their labs and what medications to take, and what, it's where they can get different benefits and different assistance. So.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Ms. Santos, I love working with you. I appreciate you being on today. Just quickly, Your Best You has been connected to Positively You, I think, for the past 3 years. And when we're dealing with HIV and communities at risk for HIV, again, we're all at risk for HIV, but those more familiar communities, that may be affected by HIV. I am a part of the team that works to decrease stigma, give people affected time and a space to come in and totally express themselves free of judgment, and that has a different atmosphere. So my office is a space for the Positively You family and those that come into the Positively You family. Tell us about you, Christine.
Hi, hello everyone. Well, as everyone knows, my name is Christine. I do a little bit of everything. And yes, Dr. Davis, thank you. I enjoy working with you as well. That's part of what Mr. Alexander was saying about walking the stars hand on hand, the peer navigator. I actually attend the appointments with them and give them that peer support and be able to guide them and let them know that they're not alone through the process. They have not only myself, but as well as you can see, we have the whole PU, Positively You team, hand on hand, walking them out through it. It's like all the chain reactions. So we love what we do and we're gonna keep on doing it.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was about to the windows off.
Antonio?
That's a priority too.
Oh, can someone mute him?
Mute.
Okay, thank you. So Levi, this is really an international and a global show, and that's been, no more apparent than it is today. I don't think we've ever, Sherryl, had anyone from the motherland, on board to talk in our show, right?
On this particular show, on other shows, yes, but first for Your Best You and Positively You today, yes.
Okay, well, we've been indoctrinated to the international, family with the Let's Talk Business with SJC show. Levi, tell us about your story and how you've come to be connected to Positively You.
So hello family, my name is Levi. I'm from Kenya, a young person doing the unthinkable, sometimes being an African, having to tell your story to the whole world, and being a member of LGBTQ, we call it a brave. You have to have like a tough skin, because I'm doing advocacy, and it's not easy at all, because sometimes you have to be included in battles of your peers. But again, I'm a case navigator. I work in I'm a volunteer in a local NGO dealing with LGBTQ persons. So I came to know about Positively You through internet. I'm a friend of mine, that's how we came to meet Mercy. And I can be shy to say she has been my mother, because I'm one person who has ever gone through rejection, and she gave me a shoulder to lean on. And since then, no turning back. Yep.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. We had a little bit of a bad connection, but I gleaned the main idea of what you're saying. It's not easy being a part of the LGBTQ plus community, particularly being minority, because of just not just the stigma, but pre-existing beliefs about being a part of the community. Janet, can you make a recommendation on who we should have speak to next, particularly on how we should approach these conversations? Sometimes I've looked to you as a healthcare provider on how do we use the right language? How do we have a healthier discussion, a non-judgmental discussion to just continue the conversation, to make the people that we're working with, the community that we're working with, feel more open and welcome to the care that we aim to provide.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So Dr. Davis knows that a lot of times I have to interrupt her on verbiage, and it's not intentional. Many times there are words that one would use that are stigmatized and they don't know. Why? Because it's something that they've heard over and over. I was just talking with Alexander, and he can echo as well as everyone on my team, because there is a piece of paper that every staff member gets, every team member gets, that is called HIV communication using preferred language to reduce stigma. There is a concept that we have called MEBA, meaningful involvement of people with AIDS. And we believe that nothing is about us without us. That if there's anything that has to be done, talked about, research, science, boards, decisions, a person living with HIV should be in there. We should be involved with all science, in particularly on decision makings in the political level. And we have some that are open with their status from now. One of my brothers, believe he is in Georgia, that just got into the state Congress. So he also is an advocate. And one of the things that we say is that a lot of times, unbeknown to others, that they use the word infected. This seems to be the only chronic illness that one would say that they're infected. And we would rather not use words like infected. We would like to say that someone has been diagnosed, or that they have, HIV has been transmitted. There's words that one would say is that we talked about that, Alexander and I, that I wonder if that person is clean as opposed to dirty. Alexander and I was just saying that, well, we just took a shower. I mean, what makes a person dirty? Their blood has nothing to do with it. And this is one of my pet peeves, and I'm going to pass this and swing it to Alexander, is when someone says they have full-blown AIDS as opposed to half-blown, or no one says a person is full-blown pregnant, right? Say that they're pregnant. Full-blown is not a medical term. It doesn't have a terminology. It just, sometimes it tries to, I guess, accentuate or give the illusion of how bad it is. AIDS is AIDS, just like diabetes or A1C at a low level as opposed to the other. It is still the same diabetes, the same with us. I'm going to pass it to you, Alexander. And I gave you a list, and maybe you can tell us some of the things that you particularly don't like, that are stigmatized, that you hear regularly in the community.
Thank you. So one of the biggest things that I hear a lot is, like we touched on it, is the are you clean? And that tends to be like part of the pickup line in dating these days, when they want to question someone, instead of having the right words to say, when do you know your status? And so that is something that is a stigmatizing thing for me in my community. And as well, I think that when people say prostitute or hooker or something like that to someone, they're sex workers, and you have to be able to meet them where they are, and you have to be able to talk to them and non-judgmentally be able to find the safest way for them to do what they have to do. Those are the type of things that I face on an everyday basis here.
May I interject that in a lot of countries, sex work is not frowned upon. As many say, it's the oldest profession in the world. I'm gonna pass it to Christine, but afterwards, just want to add another word: promiscuity. And this is an educational forum that we're in. To be promiscuous is not a mode of transmission. It takes one person that is HIV positive, that may have known or not known their status, for you to be transmitted with HIV. There are many individuals that may have, in another word, is if their choice, multiple partners. it's only one person. So we want to make sure that we use that word. Let me interject and introduce Barry Barnes. He is also one of our board members here from Texas. We're kind of unilateral and very national here. So I just want to introduce him. Christine, what is one of your pet peeves about words that are used that you don't like?
You have covered the main ones, like the full-blown AIDS. Oh, that really is disturbing. Like, well, but because when you explain to them the difference between HIV and AIDS, they're like, oh, but isn't it all the same thing? I'm like, well, technically, no. We could get into details, but it gets confusing. So, but the proper word is, and then we're just interject, we educate them and we explain to them the why and the uncomfortness. Because if they're not educated, how are they going to be able to fix it with the next person? So that's where I love my PU team. That's where we all come in and we educate everyone and we explain it to them. And it's simple little stuff that for them is small, but for us is really big. Because then we go into other stuff like the U equals U, and then you explain to them and stuff. So there's a lot that needs to be told. So as we go along and we educate them, they spread the word. Because what better way for everyone to hear about it, especially if we're spreading the word and you tell one person, that person's going to go home and tell one other person. So it's all like a chain reaction. So they get intrigued because you just educated them on something they were not aware of. So I feel like that's one of the main things we do here at PU. So I love it.
Awesome. Mr. Barnes, do you have something to add to that?
You hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
I agree with all of that. And I think it's important that we have dialogue like this, so we're clear on what the next steps are. It's important that we talk about what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, what to say, when to say, and how to say. We need to tap into make sure that we're clear on how we present what we're trying to get across to the community. And I think this organization does an excellent job in making sure that the communication is clear and that they're sensitive to how words can hurt sometimes. So I think that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And I think, personally, this is a safe space for me as well. Just as, just to use another example, most of us are minority here. When we hear on TV or in some of our connections that this is a well-spoken, Black person. This always makes me laugh, but it should make me sad. I remember when President Obama was a candidate for president, and Harry Reid, he was a one-time Speaker of the House. He was a senator from Nevada. When he endorsed, then candidate Obama, he said he is clean and he spoke in the Negro. He doesn't speak in the Negro vernacular. That is like one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever heard. I laugh about it, but it's sad that we're referenced sometimes as minorities as smart. So I totally understand what you mean. This is a safe community for me because as a healthcare provider, we do ask questions like, how were you infected? I'm corrected on that most often. The mode of transmission is important. And sometimes we also ask, not just if, but how did you come about with this diagnosis? I'm reminded that that's not important because it doesn't change your treatment and it doesn't change your approach to care. So I just wanted to highlight that. Let me just move forward. Christine mentioned U equals U. That means undetectable means untransmittable. And I think that's a very important concept. When you are HIV positive and you are treated and you remain adherent to your treatment, it is quite possible to become undetectable. And that's important to us. I'm going to turn in just a moment the program back over to Positively You, because we have several people that we still need to hear from. But I got to give you some statistics first, and it just emphasizes why we are having this conversation. In 2020, those are current statistics here. These are the incidence rates for HIV transmission. Incidence is new infection, newly transmitted HIV. For one of the highest, groups that experience new transmissions is MSM, men who have sex with men, and 71% of all new cases of HIV are amongst men. In this group, the transmission rate of just Black men amongst Black men is 26%, but of that 71%, Black men make up 39%. Hispanic men amongst, Hispanic men, 21%. Amongst that 71, or all new cases, that's 31%. Also, Sherryl has posted a graph there. We get, any one of us, men or women, young, as soon as, sexual activity begins, all through, the lifespan, that risk profile is there. Here on this slide, you can see that the prevalence and incidence amongst men significantly outweighs that prevalence and incidence amongst women. So in both graphs, you have Blacks, you have African Americans as the most affected by HIV transmission. Then, the Hispanic community, and then the whites are much, much less. So why is that the case? Why do we see such disparities in our community? Also, I don't think that we have the graph that shows the use of PrEP. PrEP is the preventive treatment, or the availability of preventive treatment to keep you from being, from HIV, from being transmitted to you, because again, all of us are at risk. The studies and the outcomes show that it is a highly effective way of not being transmitted with HIV. So why is it that we have tons of people of non-minorities using it, but very few of African Americans and people in the Hispanic community have this, therapy? Is it because we don't know about it? I think that's the case, because it's certainly available to us. Tell us more about PrEP, which is preventive HIV medicine. Tell us about it, your experience with it, Stars, and how did you come to learn about PrEP medication?
Now, I'll start. Here at Positively You, we provide PrEP services. For the audience that will be listening in, PrEP is a 1 pill a day regimen that is taken for a person that is HIV negative. If the pill is taken as prescribed, that person will never, HIV will never be transmitted. This is a milestone, and it was a breakthrough, especially for the HIV population. And it also, in a sense, became a stigma reduction, meaning those that were in what is called a serodiscordant couple. That is when one person is living with HIV and the other person is HIV negative. It was very risky that that person, then the negative person, may have contracted, or HIV may have been transmitted. With this pill, 1 pill a day, the HIV negative person takes the pill and they will not, if taken as prescribed, HIV will not be transmitted. It's a breakthrough, one, because that is what we now call a pathway to ending the epidemic of HIV. Mm-hmm. If we can get those that know their status tested and on treatment, then becoming the word which is called undetectable and cannot transmit, that is one way of us making this epidemic a reduction. The second way is to educate and introduce PrEP to those that are HIV negative. Again, we want to take away the stigma about you have to have multiple partners. As long as you're a human being, remember the H in HIV is human.
Yes.
The only person that can get HIV is human. So the first part of that is H. The disease virus is a part, but again, there's only human. And this, what you said is very profound, Dr. Davis, because although PrEP has been approved by the FDA in 2012, Black HIV prevention advocates continue to report persistent low rate of knowledge and utilization of PrEP in the Black community in the United States, particularly among Black women in the southern states. Among the nation, Black women are still being diagnosed with HIV at a higher rate than any other racial and ethnic group of women. Black women have a 1 in 54 lifetime risk of being diagnosed with HIV and still represent more than 60% of new HIV diagnosed among women in 2020. Again, a huge health disparity that is among the Black race, and women there, unfortunately, not being proud, leave those numbers there in that. One of the things that I am charged with, as well as here at Positively You, we provide HIV testing to everyone that is willing to, that walks through our door. Again, everyone is susceptible to HIV. If they decide, and we have a lot of counseling out with my highly professional team, we try to have them become a PrEP candidate or get prescribed PrEP. We have medical providers that are there to have that done. We also provide free insurance for those that are uninsured. And then there we follow up with them to make sure that their prescription is there. And if there are any hindrance that they may have, maybe being unhoused or unclothed, we meet those needs as well. We have financial assistance to help those that are unhoused. And we also have clothing, because health has a disparity. It is not only because a person has not seen a doctor. There are other health disparities that the determinants stop them from keeping and staying into care. PrEP is something that is a milestone, but our community seems to be the person that is behind yet again. I will say that I know, and I don't know, Dr. Davis, I don't want to take over, but the commercials that we see, we talk and we speak mostly on, and I don't use the word men who have sex with men, because that is a research term. I know a lot of my brothers in the LGBT community do not like that word, because it identifies them only on the kind of sex they have. Mm-hmm. No one says to me, oh, Janet, the woman who has sex with men. No one says that, but we seem to pull that out on a particular population. Again, Dr. Davis, nothing that you said incorrectly, but it is a research terminology. And when they are using any research and prevalence and diagnose and all of that, they do use, that word is used. However, there are now, we have advanced from the 1 pill a day to now injectables. What a breakthrough. Yeah. Instead of me having to take 1 pill a day, now I can just get an injectable. It's in buttocks, a little comfortable, but that person would not have to take a pill every day. I believe, and you may have to help me out, team. I'm good at running a company, but not a lot of things. I think they go, every 3 months for their injection?
It's actually a load of 2 shots in the first month. Right. And then a follow-up, I may be off just a little bit. I did write this down. Let me see. Once a month, once it's after the load. And then every 2 months, once you're stabilized.
Right.
I thought that was huge myself, and not to interrupt here too much. You mentioned the commercials on TV, and that actually, I know we had to delay that December show, but I said, Sherryl, we got to get back, to this. We keep seeing, these TV commercials, right, and we need to answer these questions. What does this all mean for the, population at large? I think it's pretty wonderful, personally, that the people on the commercials, I mean, it just screams inclusion. There were men in love. There were, what's assumed to be trans women. There were heterosexuals. There were, people that, I felt some kind of way about this, but that were apparently, under, socioeconomic bars there, with a lot of grass, growing up in the yard, and, the messy bathroom, but everybody's happy and washing a dog, so, they just literally did a great job of being inclusive and showing that anyone could be affected. They also mentioned that not only, can certain injections be taken for HIV treatment and management, but they also mention specific injections. It's Apretude, if I'm saying that wrong, let me know. But Apretude has also received FDA approval to be used for PrEP as young as adolescents that are already sexually active. As long as the individual weighs 77 pounds, lives can be saved with preventive medication. So it's great that, you went into that, Janet, because we really needed to, say that, speak to that, and emphasize that really anyone can be affected, including heterosexuals. May I ask this question? MSM, yes, is a research term. One, what's the best way to reference persons that could be in that category? And two, would you speak on heterosexual transmission?
So our brothers in the LGBT community, would you speak up and tell us your preferred vernacular? Do you want to go first, Alexander?
So I don't like the terms, when they call me a Latino male who sleeps with men. It's like you're basically breaking me down into my ethnicity and who I choose to love or who I choose to be with. And so I prefer that I'm just, do you have at-risk behavior? And anyone can have at-risk behavior. It doesn't have to be specific to the fact that I sleep with men. It would be at-risk behavior is for anyone. And it just seems more like an umbrella term that would not stigmatize what it is that they're doing.
Well stated, well stated.
I also wanted to say about the prevention and stuff. There are many different ways that people decide to protect themselves. I remember a long time ago, it was condoms, get tested, know your status, wear condoms. And now, with PrEP, we have you choose how safe you want to be and what safety measures you want to take. And then we just give you the information. For example, I am a person who is living with, and I choose treatment as prevention. I take my treatment, I remain undetectable, and I don't spread the virus to anyone. And that's the best practice that works for me, because people seem to assume that if you are a person who is living with, then you don't have to practice safe sex anymore, or you don't have to do certain things. And that education needs to be brought out to the people as well. And the PrEP, and then there's condoms, and then there's several different ways that you can express it to the person to see what works for them and meet them where they are.
Okay.
Dr. Davis, yeah. Dr. Davis, Listen, I just want to let everybody know, first of all, we appreciate your candor and educating us today. It kind of almost breaks your heart to see all of these commercials that we talked about earlier, and yet we see these startling numbers when it comes to people of color. It's almost scary. But Dr. Davis, I know Janet has some other individuals, some superstars, and we are foregoing our commercials because this is important. And what I would love for each of you to do is share this page on your social media platforms because we need this information to get out. I am hoping that as a culture, we're just not getting, it's not going to happen to me, or just having that lackadaisical attitude about something so serious. Game-changing information. I'm hearing about the PrEP injection. One day you can come back and talk to us, perhaps, Dr. Davis, about some of the side effects, because there's got to be some other reason our numbers, aside from awareness, is so high. But back to you.
I just wanted to have Janet share with us and any of the stars that have input here on more about heterosexual transmission. Many of us engage, to your point, Alexander, in high risk behavior. I don't think that is germane to any gender or identification. So because we're living life, everyone practices high risk behavior at some point. Some of the patients and stars and people that I interact with as a healthcare provider, particularly African-American women, came about, their mode of or being positive through just standard transmission or, standard sex that, they don't consider, high risk. Tell us about that. Are these people at risk or good candidates for PrEP medication, PrEP therapy? I think so.
So I'm going to give you a Janny Kitchen pet peeve. And
what was coming?
I'm going to get you.
I was trying.
You are doing well. I see you stumbling. So I think I have it on my website. It should be taken down. I have another issue with the word at high risk. I have a very good advocate sister that says the only high risk sex she knows is having sex from a chandelier.
Oh, wow.
That is the only high risk sex she knows. Again, the word understanding still being medical, meaning high risk for diabetes, high risk for cancer. But there is a little bit of stigma because high risk is synonymous to me to promiscuity. There are many individuals that have had sex one time. Again, remember, it's one person that now is part of this family that we're in, that is HIV. Remember, remember again, one person. If a person is involved in sexual violence, whether it be male or female, by a person that is HIV positive, one person, what was their risk factor? What was their risk factor? We forget about incest. What was their risk factor? We know many stars that have been sexually assaulted. We know many of them that have been involved with incest with family members. We know many that are in love and have been true and have been as dear and care as they could, but was your partner? I can raise my hand on that one. What was my risk factor? Was I at risk? I was married, I was in love. I am now HIV positive by one person. So that's why we try to change that word at risk. And I know it becomes very inquisitive when a lot of persons there, and I'm going to do this, the why. This is a V with a long, they want to know the why or the how one is now in this great family that we have here. but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And those kind of words would change it. I'll give you a good example. One of our numbers of HIV rates are now growing in the 50 plus community.
Okay.
When I say 50 plus, I'm saying 50, 60, 70, and even up to 80 years old. How are they? No one says grandma is at risk because grandma is a nice person and cook cookies and bake. Grandma is a human, and grandma could have had sex with one man that is HIV positive. So we have to take that other stigma off of that everyone should be tested at least once in their lifetime, whether they're in a committed relationship or not. And the reason why I say that is we have diagnosed people at late stages of HIV and did not know they were positive. It does not show up all the time. So we need to know. One of the things that happen in our community is that we find out our diagnosis at a later stage than our counterparts. Then by then we have all these opportunist infections, and we now have other things going on because we thought of that stigmatism on not wanting to be tested once. So I'm going to take out and add to my list, high risk. It could be at risk. And it's really just loving someone or making love with someone, either sometime willingly or unwilling.
So aside from the wild thought that grandma still has sex,
Oh yeah.
What about grandma being 55?
So there are, other categories that we need to think about, not just, considering PrEP if you're having sex, if you inject drugs, because HIV is one of those disease states that's transmitted via blood and body fluid exchange. You just have to fix me on this, Janet. Women that have sex with women, that's if you're not protected, it's more than about penetration. I mean, that is still a body fluid, exchange. And, as humans, we may forget about that. We may only consider penetrative, intercourse as a mechanism of transmission. So anyone that, again, is having sex is at risk when there is no protection there. I'd like to also talk about PEP. And PEP is post-infection treatment, post-transmission treatment when you've been in contact with someone that is positive. We can get PrEP anywhere, but when there has been exposure to HIV, it's important to know what the next steps are. What do you do now? What do you do next? The best thing to do, because you have just a 72-hour window to make a difference in your lifelong status, go to the emergency room. If you have a healthcare provider that is well-versed in HIV care, that's also a space you can go to. Third, I would recommend a Planned Parenthood clinic. Those are three very, accessible spaces that you can get to within that 72-hour period. You just have 72 hours to act after the fact, but prevention is always the best approach. So I just wanted to make sure that we got that in there while we're still having a conversation. Let me get
May I add to that for
Yes.
those that will be listening and not knowing the reason why one would use or need treatment. PEP is a treatment for example, it can be occupational, where you are a phlebotomist or a nurse and may have a needle stick, not knowing the person's status. One would, if you have any needle stick, you should go to the emergency room. You could be encountered with sexual violence, not knowing that person's standards. You should immediately go to the emergency room. Those are some of the reasons for the post exposure for us to go to seek help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Janet, there's so many more of your team on board. I'd just like to give everyone an opportunity to share how they came to be a part and know about all of the great services Positively You provides, and any information just from their life experience or community experience in working in Positively You. What can you enlighten our audience with to help decrease transmission by increasing our knowledge?
Come to Positively You. I have to push it. I wanted to, while we're here, welcome Maygene. I don't know if you could be on camera. She's one of our outreach workers in Miami. We do have an office in the Miami area, and she is out there plugging away, getting tests done. There's HIV and STI, which is sexually transmitted. They use the word infection, but that's what she's doing. And I wanted to welcome a friend, Vernon, who is there, one of our superstars, who has been with me in the inception when HIV and Positively You was just on paper. So I just wanted to make sure I welcome them. And we have Karen, which is our admin, that is have added and joined on with us. What would be one of the questions that you wanted to ask the team?
Just any information that they can provide from their interaction with people living with HIV, some of the services maybe that Positively You provides that has made a positive impact in the lives of people living and exposed to HIV, or anything personal they'd like to share.
Yeah. Well, let me yield and throw to one of our board members. Barry, would you like to tell us the work that you've done and that you do in the great state of Texas?
Sure. Our big piece here is outreach. Our biggest thing is making sure that we're out and testing and educating on a regular basis. We have one of the largest single testing events that's done in the United States, which is testing for tickets, which is an opportunity for the community to test and get a free ticket to a hot concert, which is in collaboration with the local radio stations. So we do a lot of super outreach. But what I want to definitely commend Positively You on is that the greatest gift that any of them have, from Janet on down, is the mere fact that they're the high level of compassion for the community. I think if you could have any trait in outreach, it's got to be compassion. And they start there and then move from there. And I think that is the most unique and very special and commendable service you can give any community, to walk in with compassion on your forehead, so everybody's clear, safe, and comfortable on whatever that next step may be. So I commend them on that. They have the ticket and the secret sauce to what success really is in this field.
Absolutely. I'd like to hear from everyone else that's on. It's such a blessing to have so many on, the show today. And I certainly want to know what Domino is cooking.
Oh, absolutely.
So Domino's real name is Dimitri. Dimitri Candy. Dimitri, will you be able to just say something? Tell us what you're doing.
He's trying to unmute.
So Dimitri's my nephew. Go ahead. And he lives in the great state of Maine.
Oh wow!
Oh, looks like he's making some kind of patty.
Oh, crab cakes.
Yeah,
yes.
There you go.
Yes.
That's exactly what I'm making.
Beautiful.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, that's just my art. So I was just talking to her earlier. So I just wanted to join and see what the conversation was about. But definitely educated me right now on some things. So, and I'm getting ready for an event that I'm catering. So just making crab cakes. That was correct. Whoever said that.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Back
awesome.
some up for me.
I will.
Miss
But
Nelson.
it's interesting to like hear everyone that spoke and just to see and get like other people's opinion on like I don't really know like how people get treated or not using the correct term, but just knowing like how people that are positive, HIV positive, feel in the community because I don't really get a chance to interact with a lot of them. So having like my aunt, who is the head of the positive youth, I get educated or talked about things a lot. So I just wanted to join in and like see. I'm at work, obviously, but just wanted to hear some everyone's voices. I met Barry last month, so kind of good to hear him talk about these things. So I haven't met Alexander.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm happy to join. So just wanted to hear everyone.
Thank you.
We have about 3 to 5 more minutes. If we could get a little bit from everyone that's joined us today.
Yeah. Can I call Linwood? Are you available to speak? And then I'll go to, well, let me stop. Let me go to Denitra first. Denitra, are you able to speak? Denitra is my niece. She's Dimitri's sister. She's in the great state of New York in Buffalo. She's an attorney, so I'm not sure if she's working then. Can you speak, Denitra? Oh, can you speak?
I'll just.
If you can, it's okay. Okay.
Just
hi.
Go on really quickly and say hello. I'm under a deadline, so I'm just listening in the background. And I became involved in this because of you. When you told me, I guess I was the last one to know about your status, and from there on, it's kind of where my interest was piqued, and you asked me to join the board, and so I've just been trying to learn and help as much as possible.
Okay, I'll let you get back to work. Thank you. And we have Linwood, her husband. Linwood, are you able to speak? He's also an attorney in the great state of Buffalo, New York. Can you speak for a moment, sir?
Yes, I can. I don't know why you went to her first, but okay.
There's a lady.
This is Linwood Roberts. This is, my aunt Annette, who informed us of everything. My name is Linwood. I'm an attorney. I'm on the board. That's all. I don't like talking about myself. I just like to listen and learn. I think you have 2 ears for a reason, so you can listen as much as possible and only have a mouth so you can speak as least as possible. With that being said, Positively You has always been positive. The name goes beyond his name. His leader and Janet Kitchen is probably one of the most supportive, aggressive. So many adjectives that I don't think you have enough time. You said 3 to 5 minutes. I need about 15 to 20. So with that being said, I'm a little biased. She is my aunt, but once we got the information from her, we took the strength from her. When we were informed by it, she didn't whisper, she didn't, stutter. She told us exactly what's going on and told us exactly what she's going to do and how we're going to support her. And we've been doing that, and we look forward to following her wherever she goes. Thanks.
Thank you, nephew.
Linwood, we thank you so much. This is Daryl. I know you're listening in. There's your power couple. They need to be here for the Power Couples Ball 2020.
2024. Yeah, 2023. December 31st. We'll get
the information. We down.
Oh, see, we're all right. Let's make it happen. Listen, we're going to have you guys come back. You are superstars in your own right as a part 2. And Janet, I hope we can make this happen again, because we want to just do a show about your stories. And so I don't believe we've heard from, let me see, Martine, Karen, Vernon.
Martine, do you want to go first?
Let's rock and roll because the station is giving us a few more
They don't
minutes.
have much time. Let me move on. Karen, are you? They may be working.
I'm trying to take it off. I'm trying to take it off, off from you. Good afternoon. My name is Martine.
Hello.
Hello. And I am the operations manager in Winter Haven. And I am so happy to be part of this organization ever since I met Janet in 2009. And she's been a rock, not only to me personally, but to the whole community. She's very community oriented. She's very passionate about what she does. And it is an honor for me to be part of the such an organization. She's positive. She's very on point. She goes out of her way to make sure that the stars, the VIPs, everyone is. They just feel like they're part of a family. So I say from joining her in her garage to today with 3+ location is awesome. And I think every day she should wake up giving herself a pat in the back.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you. And she is phenomenal. I met her so many years ago in the very beginning, and for us to still have that relationship today. So thank you so much, Ms. Nelson. Next. Who's next? Vernon? Did we lose Janet?
Nope.
Okay.
Vernon, do you want to say something briefly? He may be away. And I'm not sure who's on the iPhone.
That was Pierre.
Oh, thanks for letting us know that was Pierre. We've been talking to him in the chat. Hello, Pierre.
Oh, that's my work husband.
Good afternoon.
With me from the beginning.
Yes,
My
good
brother.
afternoon. I just wanted to definitely thank you for the invitation, Janet, and definitely want to have shout outs for you actually having this conversation. Positively You has embraced so many, myself, including people living with HIV within the Tampa Bay area and abroad. So I just wanted to say thank you. I am definitely like it's a personal, like I said, you know, that's my work wife. As we say, we actually worked and helped to form some ideas of Positively You so many years ago. And like I said, you know, this is a lifelong friendship for me. So thank you, Janet.
You're welcome.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Antonio. There you are.
How's everybody doing? So Positively You, where do I start? So I started with Positively You 4 years ago, and I really just joined on just because of the family focus or family feel that it has. We make sure that everybody that walks through the door is a friend or feels like family and absolutely comfortable. And I feel that working in the sexual health field, that's so important. People want to come in to see someone with a smile, to see someone that cares, to see someone that will help them through. And with Positively You, that's all that we're here for. And of course, to go above and beyond.
Oh,
Thank you.
Who else? Who did we miss?
Vernon, he's off mic now. Go ahead, Vernon. Do you want to say something briefly? Oh, I saw him on mic.
Yeah, I saw him on mute. What about, and I want to say,
Maygene, are you able to speak? Well, I'm going to go to the last but not least. Hi, Maygene.
Oh, there she is.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hello, welcome.
I am Positively You's most, I guess, newest member here. I recently joined because I came here for graduate school in Miami. And one of my favorite things, kind of like what Barry said and Antonio said, is our compassion. All of them are great team members, very compassionate and very passionate people. I really enjoy especially the pre and post counseling that we have with our clients, because it really taps you into the community, and it also just teaches you really how to connect with people. And I would like to give a very special thank you to Janet and Antonio, because they've been amazing. I really do look up to y'all, and I really would like to model my career, hopefully, in health policy after what you've done here.
Awesome.
Thank you. And last but not least is Andrew Kitchen, my son.
Okay, Andrew.
Hello, everybody. I'm out and about right now, so I'll be brief. For me, it's just a little different. Learning about this diagnosis was hard for me, especially, not knowing much about it, and knowing from what I've learned in the media or in the street of, it's like a death sentence. And learning along the way from one of the strongest people I've ever met in my whole life, that this is nothing but just another step in the road for her. I believe it was one day she sat me down and she told me, don't worry about her. That I was all grown up and I had moved on, and that this basically gave her a second life. So that alone just basically taught me that there's nothing that can stop you. And I've been on board with her ever since. I've got her back. She knows that. And anything she needs, she will have from me. And I'm just here to help her keep supporting as many people as we can and help us in this virus. That's all I can say.
Andrew, that is well stated. I'm a mother of a son, and so is two sons, and so is Dr. Davis. And to hear you say that just warms, I know, both our hearts. And let me just give a shout out to In Touch, our station, In Touch News and Radio, who is listening in and recognize the importance of this conversation today. Before we close off, and I'll give final words to Janet, and we'll circle back to Dr. Davis, but allow me to say thank you to all of you, Barry, Christine, Janet, Megan, Martine, Andrew, iPhone is Pierre, Monica, Vernon. I don't know if we heard from Vernon, Linwood, both Roberts, and Antonio, Domino. Oh my gosh, we wish we could have some of those salmon patties, but let me take this opportunity.
Crab.
Oh, crab cakes. I like salmon patties, but go ahead, crab cakes. Okay. You need to make your way to Tampa. But we just want to say thank you, and we do not take your time. Your time is very valuable to us, and we knew that a few more minutes to allow everyone to express themselves was so very, very important. Again, we need this message to go out, push it, help us push it out, share it on all of your social media platforms, because this is what we need to hear. Straight from you, not sugar-coated. Janet Kitchens, love you, girl. Thank you. Final thought.
You. My final thought is that for anyone that is listening that maybe HIV positive, everyone on this call means a lot. You can see I have my family that's here, and HIV is a household word in the Kitchen family and in the Positively You family. Thank you, everyone. My sister Monica is there. I don't think there may be time. She's a nurse, and she also helps out with us here in Florida.
Hey, Barry.
Thank you. Thank you so much to each and every one of you, and Janet, for all that it is that you do to help us all be closer and more informed to the HIV community and at-risk community, which is all of us, okay? So thank you for all that have listened in today. If you didn't get an opportunity to listen live, you can listen on the rebroadcast, share, because again, we're all at risk and we need to know this information. I will also post resources so that you can figure out where it is that you can be tested, no matter where you are. It is a link so that you can place your zip code in, and it can give you a test site that's closest to you. Also, we will have on the post-broadcast link the same type of web link where you can put your zip code in, and it can show you where you can get PrEP. And this is the medication that can limit your ability to even have HIV transmitted to you. Remember, undetectable means untransmittable. So that is another layer of protection on the untransmittable that you will have if you're on PrEP therapy. Thank you, everyone, so much. Sherryl?
Just one thing, because you guys were using a lot of terms. Some were new to us. We didn't get into the pronouns because that's important today too. So Janet, if you have that resource so that we can all be educated on using the right terminology when we're trying to describe a person, we would love to add that to our post show. And yes, our engineer will repost this show again, perhaps towards the latter part of the week. A special shout out to In Touch News. Thank you so much for the extra time. Thank you all. This show is a wrap.
Wrap
out, Janet.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you. Love you.